If you know me, that is my favorite thing to do in the classroom. I feel like just the more resources that we can share with each other and help each other grow in our profession, the better. Hey Sweet friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maylene from Mrs. Call's Campers. If you're new here, I would love if you hit that red subscribe button. Today I thought it would be really fun to take you guys on a virtual professional development. So if you are a new teacher or someone who's not very familiar, professional development is something that's required of all teachers. The amount of hours depends on where you're working, obviously, but usually it's something that teachers exceed. So when you do a professional development, what you're doing is you're working on learning new skills, getting better at your profession, and you earn a certain number of hours as credit. Every teacher is required to earn a certain number of hours of professional development per year because we are lifelong learners and our profession is constantly changing and adding new things, and we're learning new skills. So the professional development that I am attending today is normally something that occurs in person. So right now we're kind of in a very unique situation. Many of you who are teaching are now doing distance learning, and who knows what's going to happen this upcoming school year. So Jen Jones has a professional development conference called Hello Literacy that she normally hosts as an in-person event, but unfortunately she was not able to do that, so she did move it online. So that's what we're going to be doing today. One thing I want you to keep in mind is that her conference is her intellectual property, so she didn't record it, she didn't make it available to be played back, so it very much was like a live PD. And for that reason, I can't show you like clips, and I didn't really record clips during the actual conference. I just recorded a few things here and there to kind of make this a better video for you, but nothing showing any of her content. But I do want to talk to you about some of the notes that I took, some of my takeaways, and my perspective on what virtual professional development was like for me, my experience with it. Good morning, it's 6:30 in the morning, which is really early for me to be awake and ready, but there is a very special reason I woke up this early today, and that is because I am attending virtual Hello LitCon by Jen Jones.
Just all look beautiful. Can I just say that? You're all up right in the room. Because words are, again, bottom line on what kids need to know when it comes to language.
So this is my little setup that I have going on. I'll show you a better view. So I'm doing a whole video on my office makeover, so this is more of like a sneak peek, but I did move my desk just so that I would have this as a background for the conference instead of this. So my laptop is actually right under here right now, but it doesn't have an HDMI port. I actually borrowed my husband's Mac because he does have an HDMI port, and I was able to hook it into this little TV, use it as a monitor. So I have my webcam right up here so that when I was watching the screen, it was just a good angle for a webcam. So I had Zoom pulled up over here. I could see everything really, really well. And then on this computer, I could pull up anything that I needed to. So if she linked to a website or a document, I could pull that up. And I also just kept the schedule up whenever I wasn't looking at a certain document. So I realized not everybody's gonna have something similar that they can set up, but if you can, it's really, really great. I actually woke up at around 4:30 this morning, and I was just so excited to actually get up, get ready, get my coffee going so I could attend this virtual PD. So we just got done with our very first session. I feel like I still have my morning voice because I'm just listening and taking everything in, but it is definitely everything I expected it to be so far. So I'm gonna kind of show you what I got going on, show you how I'm taking notes. I'll share some of that with you as we go.
We are back.
We're back.
All about being able to summarize in fiction or nonfiction. See, we're going to write in the W box because this is a writing strategy. I hate that it's over. It was so by so fast. I love your comments. I love you. I'll see you next time. Thank you.
So about halfway through the virtual PD, we did go on a lunch, which for me was like 9:30 in the morning because I'm on the West Coast and this was technically happening in Detroit even though it was online. So it wasn't necessarily my lunchtime, but I did record some of my thoughts, and unfortunately my phone tripod holder thing was blocking the mic. So really quickly, I'm gonna go over kind of what I was thinking around that halfway mark because I of course still have my notes. So what we were doing before the break was focusing on mini lessons and mentor texts, and it was just a phenomenal segment. So she was using The Invisible Boy, which I love that book and my class loved that picture book. So what she did was kind of talk us through teaching points and how to find those teaching points in the picture book, The Invisible Boy. So we worked off of this chart. Let me find the blank one. Just a simple teaching points chart, and it was really helpful because we separated reading skills, writing skills, language standards, and vocabulary. And what I found so interesting was that I had never ever seen anybody kind of go through teaching points in this way. So I thought that this chart was really helpful. And as she read through the book, she actually read the entire book to us. She would stop and tell us, this is a good teaching point. This is a good teaching point. And the thing is, you do this when you're a teacher. I did this when I was teaching first grade last year, but it's different to watch someone else's thought process, their system, their way of doing things. And I found that this method of using this chart was really efficient and helpful. So I think one of my biggest takeaways was the mini lesson portion because she really just broke it down in a very easy to understand way. She did give us a mini lesson structure, and she kind of broke down how she would spend 10 minutes doing a mini lesson. And I think for me, when I taught last year, my mini lessons were always either 15 to 20 minutes. They were never 10 to 15 minutes. So I think that's something that I can really kind of take to heart and practice more when I get back into the classroom, hopefully sooner rather than later. Please hire me. I would try to do mini lessons and stuff 2 or 3 things into the mini lesson because I feel personally that there was a lot of pressure to teach X amount of things in X amount of time. But what Jen kind of focused on today was the fact that a mini lesson is really just focusing on one main strategy, and that's gonna help you keep it down into the 10-ish minute range. I just wanted to share that just from a personal standpoint because I know a lot of teachers probably struggle in that same way of their mini lessons not really being so many all of the time, and I think it's because we just try to put too much into it. We're overthinking it. A mini lesson should just be one strategy. Also, I did want to say she covered a lot of different things. I'm not going to necessarily be able to talk about all of them in the video, but she covered a lot. So some of the things that she talked about were refreshers, and some of them were completely new information, but the way that she presented it, it was entirely helpful. I also want to say that segment on The Invisible Boy where she was kind of talking us through teaching points and how she would teach it. So without me risking sounding like an advertisement for Jen Jones and her virtual PDs, I really did want to say last year when I was teaching first grade, a huge part of what we had to do was read aloud. And that skill is something that's gonna get better the more times that you do it, but regardless, it's still really helpful to see how someone else does it and to see different things that they can pull from the text, because there are so many things you can pull from even like a simple picture book. I just wanted to say, if I were you and this is something that you are interested in, if you want to learn more about mentor texts and teaching certain books and pulling teaching points, she did a really good job of that, and I would definitely recommend looking to her in the future and seeing if you can get into any virtual professional developments that she is hosting, because you will absolutely learn an incredible amount of information from her. So the last half of the PD was focused on guided reading, and I was really looking forward to this because I love guided reading. If you know me, that is my favorite thing to do in the classroom. I loved it when I was observing. I loved it when I was student teaching. I loved it when I was in my own classroom last year. Getting to do guided reading is one of the most rewarding things to me as a teacher, especially in first grade, because of all the new skills that you get to teach them, and they really become readers in first grade. So that was one of my favorite things about teaching first grade, was falling in love with guided reading. Jen did share like pictures of her classroom and how she kind of ran her guided reading, and she also shared videos of her actually doing guided reading when she went to schools. And I always find that incredibly helpful to watch someone else do guided reading. And once again, not to sound like an advertisement, I'm just trying to help you guys out, especially because I know a lot of you who watch my videos are in college studying to become teachers, and I'm so happy for you, but I feel like you don't necessarily know all of the resources until you're a teacher. And so it would be so helpful to know before going into the classroom all of these resources and have access to them. So Jen does have a full guided reading course, full videos talking about guided reading. I'll link it for you in the description box below. I'm not partnered with her or anything. I did meet her last March and we've talked a couple of times, but I'm just telling you guys, like, from the heart, I really do appreciate the content that she provides, both free and paid. She talked about what her guided reading lesson looks like, everything down to like book bins and what should be in your students' book bin. So all things that you always want other people's advice on when you're in the classroom. And what I really liked is that she gave us a lot of sentence stems to use with our students. So whenever we're teaching our students to be good writers, we always give them sentence stems to kind of help them along. Well, she did the same thing with us, and I just felt like everything she was saying was really good advice. So she taught us really effective ways to conference with students and also to conference with administration on certain topics, and this is the content that I have been wanting. So Jen did supply a lot of coordinating resources for this virtual conference. One of those things that she supplied was a note-taking page, so I actually uploaded that to my GoodNotes, and I decided to take notes digitally. I am trying to be more digital when it comes to things like this, but also because I really enjoy using GoodNotes. This is the platform that my teacher planner is on. So basically I just imported her notes page. I also imported her Hello Literacy binder cover into my GoodNotes, and I took digital notes the whole time. And I know so many of you are like, no, Maylene, I like handwriting my notes, and trust me, I was the same way. I didn't think I would love writing on an iPad with this Apple Pencil as much as I truly do, but it is just so convenient. You can move things around, you can erase things quickly, you can copy and paste things. So like I said, you can rearrange them, you can make them bigger, you can make them smaller, you can change the color of things. You can even search what you write. So everything you write, that is now searchable text in GoodNotes, so I can easily go back and look up anything I want. I can also print my notes if I wanted to. It helps you draw shapes quicker, you can highlight easier. It is just so useful. So I've been taking notes in GoodNotes and I really enjoy it. This is something I would have loved in college. So if you are in college right now and you have an iPad, if you're not using GoodNotes, I don't know what you're doing, because it's amazing. And another thing is I can also insert images into my notes, which is beautiful. So I just copied her notes page over and over again, and these are all the notes that I ended up taking, and a lot of the things that I needed she let us take pictures of, so I have those too, and she's got handouts in her email. I took notes on mini lessons. She talked a lot about vocabulary. She kind of broke down some literacy standards for us. We talked about teaching points in The Invisible Boy. A lot of really good things that I'm definitely going to be referencing. And like I said, a lot of this was kind of like a refresher and a lot of it was new, but it was nice to kind of go back and revisit these things since I wasn't able to teach last year, unfortunately. And then towards the end, I just added blank pages and kind of made the charts that she talked about. So these are all my notes, and I'm not really spending any time on them because they're not really going to help you, but I just kind of wanted to show you how I did that. So really there's two types of professional development that you can get online, pre-recorded or live. And a lot of the pre-recorded professional developments are kind of at your own pace, access them when you want to, and there are benefits to that. One of them being that it is there for you online. You can go back, you can rewind, do all of those things. But the cons to a pre-recorded professional development are that you can't interact. I also feel like, and this is just personal to me, but a pre-recorded professional development or training, automatically my interest kind of decreases just a little bit. I'm not that invested or as invested as I would be with a live professional development like I just had today with Jen Jones. So obviously one of the pros to attending a live event is that you are there and there is more than likely going to be a chat that you can interact with the speaker and other people who are participating in the PD. And I know today I found that really helpful. But the other pro is it just feels live. Like, it's live and it feels live. It feels like you're there with them. And Jen decided to use Zoom as her platform. I found it really easy to use. There wasn't really a learning curve or or anything to it. It was as simple as just logging into the meeting and going. If I wanted to see her screen, like on my screen, I would just double tap her screen. Everything was very simple, very easy to use. Now, of course, the con to a live event is that it might not be saved. Like I said, hers wasn't saved, but I feel like that just made me want to pay attention more and take more notes and kind of take it in more than I would if I knew it was going to be saved, if that makes sense. So I think the engagement was higher because I knew it wasn't going to be saved. For me personally, again, just my thoughts. And here's the thing, I love going to professional developments in person. I love interacting with other teachers and that kind of social aspect to it. And we did have a group chat going on. I kind of showed you in my video with Kim and a couple of her like teacher friends. For me, being at home in my own space, wearing pajama shorts with a blanket, I have everything that I needed here with me for the conference. I had a bathroom that was right there. It was all just so convenient, and I really, really enjoyed getting to learn from the comfort of my own home, but having such a high quality PD at the same time. So with everything that's going on, I definitely think there are going to be more professional developments like this in the future. And to be honest, I'm a really, really big fan. I loved it. Another thing I really enjoyed was the fact that this wasn't a really huge conference. So I personally like smaller events. That's just kind of my personality. I like things to be smaller and more close-knit. But with this Zoom call, there were about 200 of us, which I know sounds like a lot, but when you think of it in terms of a conference, it's really not that many people. I felt like the chat was at a reasonable pace. I felt like I could keep up with everything. It didn't feel so big that I felt distanced away from the presenter. Like I felt like everything was really, really easy to access, if that makes sense. But the 6 or 7 hours we spent in the PD together were filled with so much content that it feels like I spent an entire week with her. So I highly recommend her if you're looking for virtual PD. Like I said, she has free and she has paid options for you to kind of see what she's like. And I know a lot of you that are watching are probably in college to become teachers or are shortly on your way to becoming teachers. And I feel like just the more resources that we can share with each other and help each other grow in our profession, the better. So those are all my thoughts on virtual professional development and specifically Hello LitCon with Jen Jones. I really, really appreciated all of her info. I thought it was incredibly helpful. I think that new teachers and experienced teachers could definitely learn a lot from her. She is amazing when it comes to literacy. She knows all the things, but I also really appreciate who she is as a person, and that's something that's important to me too. So I would love to know any other professional developments that you guys plan on attending from home. If there's any that I can hop into, let me know what you think about online virtual PDs, live PDs. Have you attended any? I know there's conferences that are held online. I would love to know your thoughts on all those things, so make sure you leave those in the comments. You can always catch me over on Instagram at Miss Calls Campers. I'm posting pretty frequently in my stories. I do lives, I answer all of my DMs, respond to everything on there. So if you want to reach me, that's a great place to do it. I appreciate you guys so much for watching, and I would love it if you considered subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.